request, we have a couple of field centers and some sleeves up for those of you that are always constantly asking, hey, do you have something in stock? Yeah, we just dropped the Marine High Priestess and a couple of the sleeves. I have a few chunks left in them. I'll leave a link down below so you guys can grab yours today. We have a YCS this weekend. I want to talk about some of the impact we're expecting to see. Alright, to the 30% of you that have not smashed the ever-living crap out of that subscribe button, smash it so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. We have a YCS coming up this weekend. And yeah, I don't give a two craps if it's going to be a 3v3 event. This is still new format, alright? Which means you're going to have to be aware of everything that's going on in the meta right now. So, just to kind of start things off, I mean, this is going to be a pretty generalized discussion for what I'm kind of expecting here. There are a lot of people that are looking at Kashtira and they're going, nope, this isn't the deck of the format, which I'm finding very interesting, by the way. A lot of people, if a lot of people are all kind of saying the same thing, they're like, this deck is so bad, why play this? Well, I mean, I get it doesn't set up negates, all right? Like, you have to remember, the TCG is so hell-bent on setting up these negate boards that I feel like they just kind of cry when a deck that comes out like this deck that doesn't set up these things and instead wants to go for zone locking, which is a completely different method. But we cannot forget the fact that this deck has extra deck ripping capabilities. This deck has the ability to banish spot removal cards, and it has some of the best capabilities to float. All right, and by float I mean set up a Rise Heart and laugh at your opponent as the banish pile just gets sucked into an infinite vacuum. But the problem is right now, a Rise Heart just lost its best matchup. All right, like the walking, talking Macrocosmo machine itself was really good until Tearlach just got cratered on the ban list, which means now that the best deck in the room, I still think is this, but we'll talk. There are possibilities here. The fact that the Macrocosmo oppression machine now doesn't have anybody to really oppress. That's kind of the thing. Like, if you take away the deck's best matchup and everything else is just kind of blue, I don't know. It has got a lot to say. Now, of course, there's also Fallen of Albaz. So many people, I'm not surprised to see that people are just like, yeah, Branded. Like, Branded is the best deck of the... There are actually people out here that are calling Branded the best deck of the format. I mean, yeah, the deck has Super Poly, has board breakers. Mirror Jade, its fusion monsters are quite impressive right now. I'm not gonna lie, like, its last set of upgrades definitely did this deck pretty good. And that's saying a lot for Konami, because they tend not to deal super good power-ups to a lot of these archetypes. But this was enough, and there's enough of a dial back. We actually get to have this deck of full power. The OCG keeps dialing back Branded Fusion every list, and this will be technically the first time that we do see Branded at an absolutely unhinged level. Do I think that this and the good turbo deck Kashtira are probably going to duke it out? I kind of do have a feeling that they are some of the better decks in the format. I think if you're going into the upcoming weekend here, out of this ban list, and you're like, if you're not expecting to see Kashtira, or you're not preparing for this one, you're going to lose to it. Number two, a Kashtira is going to set up a full board zone lock you, and you're just going to be like, I didn't play Book of Eclipse because I thought this deck was bad. No. If you're not prepared for these matchups, you're going to lose. I say this every single stupid video that we make these things, and, we go through the same motions of the ocean, We always say the same thing. If you're not prepared for these matchups, you will lose. All right? It's the same stupid thing that happens all the time. All right? Super Poly dot deck, fuse with your monsters. You don't have an out to the big, mean, Guardian Chimera with a Super Poly protecting it. Not much you can do about that. You can't deal with Kashtira full zone locking you. Oh, well. So what about Sprite? There is, half of the Sprite group on Facebook says deck is dead. Stop playing it. The other half is kind of taking a look right now at the deck, and they're going, it's not dead. And then you have some people playing the Evil Twin variant, you have some people playing the Runic list, and you have some Chads over here that just have the biggest energy in the world, and they're playing, yeah, I'm about to say this, they're playing purely Sprite. And you kind of look around a little bit, you kind of go, what in the world is this format come down to? Well, because, you just shaved off. You went from up here down to like here. you're seeing a dial back as players are kind of like, well, we don't have Sprite Elf now. So whatever, boards this deck is trying to make, it has to be a lot more fair at the end of the day. And that's not to say that Sprite can't make fair boards. I mean, Gigantic protects you from getting Nibiru, so whatever investment you're effectively setting up is good. And that's actually hilarious because Nibiru, well, okay, so on the topic of Kashtira and Gigantic here, since we're in the Sprite section, Nibiru is a busted card in this format. If you play against Kashtira and they don't open the adventure package for the negate, if they open up the adventure package and they negate you, you pick your cards up, you kind of walk away. If you play against Sprite and you open Nibiru, you're going to have a smile on your face, and then they make Gigantic, and then they blow you out of the water. That's kind of the experience right now with Nibiru. Nibiru is amazing in the Kashtira matchup, and it's just awful in other sections. So, and I guess I should probably point out here while we're in this section, if you get Nightmare Corruptor Iblied from Kashtira, yes, this deck can add it because it has so many. It has link monsters. Who would have guessed? Decks that don't have access to, out the menace known as Nightmare Corruptor Iblied when it's handed to their field, that's an issue. But the good thing is you play Lingaribo touted. Oh, mission accomplished. Well, wait, what if I make Diabolsis the Mind Hacker and I rip away that Lingaribo? People are starting to head down 2 Lingaribos right now in their extra decks. I kid you not right now. The out to stop the Nightmare Corruptor Iblied lock is to play 2 copies of Lingaribo. That way they can't rip it away from you with Diabolsis the Mind Hacker. See, that's the method of IQ that the Yu-Gi-Oh! Player community strives for. And I think that that's a hilarious innovation because the whole community is like, oh my god, Nightmare Corruptor Iblied's back? Well, we're just going to play the Lingaribo. Well, all the amazing Kashtira players are like, well, we're just going to take away that from you by ripping it from your extra deck. And then everybody else was like, I'm sick of getting this ripped from my extra deck. I'm going to play 2 of them. This change happened in the course of a good couple of days, actually. The community saw this, saw that they were losing to Diabolsis, said, nah, I'm not dealing with this, and they upped it to 2. So, fun fact, if you don't have a natural way to get rid of the Nightmare Corruptor Iblied, and you're like, I'm just going to play 1 Lingaribo, you've been warned. Diabolsis the Mind Hacker is tracking around the corners here, and he's looking at your extra deck. He knows what shenanigans you're doing. There are no secrets from the Mind Hacker, right? He's literally hacking into that extra deck, and he knows what he's looking for. All right, so I think that has been by far one of the most hilarious quick innovations out of the game. So, I mean, other than like those big decks, there's still like the Math Mech factor too. Bysteals have just reduced in numbers. You're going out of a format where Bysteals are like everywhere. These angry dragons from the other dimension. These guys are not having anything that Tier Elements are doing. And then Tier just, where'd they go? All right, where did Tier go? Well, every Math Mech player in the room just picked up their deck and they're like, I can win again, all right? And I hate to tell you this, but, like, I don't know, I understand Kashtira can kind of out that deck, but, like, some of these other decks in the format don't particularly have a fun time watching Math Mech start unloading these huge monsters, all right? Like, it's not a fun time. And then, of course, yeah, you have Sword Soul. A lot of people right now are looking at Sword Soul going, yeah, this deck's coming back. I was like, you do realize that, like, a Rise Heart, like, says no to, like, shenanigans from, like, the 10 Ys. I mean, like, you can still do some stuff, but, like, it's not a lot. All right, so that's kind of something to kind of keep in mind. Walking, talking Macrocosmo, man, kind of hurts. You don't get a lot of value. You still get some, but, like, it's not crazy in terms of things. So just wanted to point that out there. But outside of that, I mean, the format looks way better than it has. Oh, Robbie didn't mention my deck. Go look back at all the top deck profile videos that we just covered. I just wanted to kind of give some insight here and some like closing thoughts as we head on into the YCS this week. I mean, we're not going to have a true top cut out of this event, but it's still going to be very interesting to see the innovations and these ideas that these players are bringing to the table, what these duelists are trying out here. And I think it's a lot. I think that you have a lot of good ideas out here to really be said, and I'm genuinely, we'll see where it goes. I really do think it's going to be interesting. So please, leave a comment down below how much you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back to you in a day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.